The tavern was an isolated shack by the canals of Cove 9, which had fallen into disrepair years ago. The upholstery on the bar stools was torn and frayed, the dingy blue-grey paint was peeling, and the tile floor was stained an off shade of yellow. The bar was owned by Nico, and it was the rare source of income that he could write off as legal. Despite the venue's pitiful appearance, it was never lacking for patrons. For a supposedly above-board operation, there was a lot of gambling and illicit drug usage. I think many of the bar's frequent visitors were addicted to the roulette game. They lost heaps of credits, and yet they returned like clockwork. It was a good place to conduct meetings, and was where we had arranged to pass off the statue. Our buyer would transfer the credits, enjoy a few complimentary drinks, and then we would part ways. I was overjoyed at the thought of putting this sacrilegious job behind us. We headed to a booth near the back of the building where 3 Xanic males were already seated. A sinking feeling clasped my stomach as we settled down across from them. I couldn't help but notice the 3 crescents branded into their feathers, a symbol of their expanding nationalist party. Their species carried a particular hatred for humans ever since the Terran government foiled their plans to conquer the Federation. The way they were looking at Nico, they looked angry. Hungry even. If you ask me, they were contemplating the fastest way to dissect a primate. A grey-feathered male who seemed to be the posse's leader wagged a talon towards us.
The statue. Hand it over.
Not so fast, Seal.
Nico growled.
I want my payment in full before I move an inch. 500k, just like we agreed.
Seal raised a plasma pistol and aligned it with the human's head. His 2 companions followed his lead. Before I could process what had happened, we were on the wrong side of 3 guns. I raised my paws in surrender and took up a submissive posture. It took all my willpower not to bolt on the spot. Every instinct told me to flee from the imminent threat.
I'm not putting a centicredit in a Terran's pocket.
The Xanic sneered.
Give me the statue or I'll take it off your dead body.
The human chuckled as though he found something amusing about the entire situation. He waved the statue at the 3 Xanic, then tossed it toward them.
Think fast.
Xanic talons were not suited for catching items, but Seal lunged for the figurine anyways, dropping his gun in the process. The statue predictably slipped out of his grasp and shattered on the floor with a high-pitched crunch. Nico used a brief distraction to his advantage and unholstered his own pistol before I could blink. He picked off Seal's 2 henchmen with quick shots, burst into their foreheads with mechanical precision. The human whirled towards the disarmed leader, baring his teeth in a predatory grin.
That is why.
Nico pressed the barrel against Seal's skull, ignoring the panicked screams from the other customers.
If you draw a gun on a human, you'd better fucking pull the trigger.
There was a deafening crack, and then the Xanic slumped against the booth in a pool of his own blood. The poor fellow barely knew what hit him. I stared at the ceramic shards in horror. That was a sacred relic.
3 people were just shot in front of him, and your friend is more worried about the statue. I like this one.
A smooth voice said from the nearest table. I glanced over to see a human male watching us with a whimsical smirk. Between his neatly groomed black hair, leather briefcase and tailored suit, he had the look of a financier or politician. He seemed unfazed by the dead bodies, but he could just be drunk. Perhaps a Terran tourist had wandered into the wrong establishment.
Nobody asked you what you thought. Mind your own damn business.
Nico snapped. The man only nodded and sipped at his beer.
The name is Lionel Richards. We've been watching you for a while, Nicholas Marino.
My friend stiffened.
What is this? Are you a cop?
I am with the government, but I'm no cop. My business is not so official, if you catch my drift,
he replied. Nico frowned.
You're one of the spooks.
Bingo.
Is Lionel Richards even your real name?
What's in a name anyways? Does it matter?
I did not follow what the 2 humans were discussing, but I did notice how Nico's cocky demeanor had faltered. Whatever hidden meaning Lionel had conveyed, it was enough to concern a seasoned Terran criminal. That probably meant I should be worried as well. A hint of fear flashed in Nico's eyes as he studied the newcomer.
What do you want, Lionel? Are you here to arrest me?
Of course not. If we wanted to bring you in, we would have done it a long time ago.
Lionel answered.
We have a proposition for you. A job.
And you think I'll do it out of patriotism?
No, I thought you could be persuaded. 5 million credits up front, and 20 million when the job is finished.
I gaped at the mysterious stranger, certain I had misheard. Nobody offered that kind of money in our line of work. That was at least 5 times the going rate for high-value targets.
Wow, consider me persuaded. I'm all ears.
Nico says. Lionel nodded.
Right, so the target is a clandestine Jatari military base. It's a mere 400 parsecs from this colony. And of course, we'll mark it on your star chart.
And what is it that you want stolen?
That's the thing. We don't know. We only were made aware of this facility's existence 5 days ago. Our sensors picked up massive energy surges in the region, and upon closer inspection, we noticed a large amount of Jatari ships buzzing about. Our guess? They're running some sort of weapons testing.
Lionel, I hope you have a more specific target than that. If the game plan is rolling up to a test site and making off with a bomb.
Now the brass just wants answers. The Jatari have regular transports once a day to a secondary outpost. We'll give you the time and the place, and you figure out the rest. Whatever they're carrying on board, you bring it to us.
Sounds like a simple hijacking. Why wouldn't you just do it yourself?
Isn't it obvious? If we get caught, it's an act of war. If you get caught, it's piracy.
I see.
So then, you'll take the job.
Gladly. Send everything over and we'll get started at once.
Very well. You'll have your payment tonight.
Lionel Richards downed the last of his beer and slammed his glass on the table.
But just to be clear, if you fuck with us, it will be the last thing you ever do. Have a good night, gents.
I watched in a dazed stupor as our benefactor collected his belongings and stood up from his station. 25 million credits was a fortune. This was the sort of job that could kickstart an early retirement and fund a lavish lifestyle. In other words, this was the break we needed to disappear, for good. But while Nico had been quick to dismiss our task as a simple hijacking, I knew it was much more complex, and military transport was unlikely to surrender without a fight, and to further complicate matters, the nature of their cargo was unknown. For all we knew, a direct assault could ignite whatever ammunitions they were carrying. And while we never questioned our contractors' motives, I couldn't help but wonder what the Terrans hoped to find. After years of consorting with their kind, I knew better than most how quickly they could snap. If human suspicions morphed into something more concrete, our little adventure could be the prelude to galactic war.